What is going on, everybody? My name is Matt George. Another KHDK.com exclusive interview for you. And once again, we got to get the Republic FC involved. We're approaching already, if you can believe it or not, the midway point of this season. Republic has been playing a lot recently with both U.S. Open Cup matches and USL action, including a fantastic match that is happening this Saturday at Papa Murphy's Park. It is Pride Night. It is a night that you're going to want to be involved in. It is a night that specific players are involved in, including this guy joining me right now. I had the opportunity to speak with him last winter, over the phone, and now I get to speak with him in person. It is the goalkeeper, the starting goalkeeper for your Republic FC, Josh Cohen, joining me. Josh, appreciate you taking the time here. We're at the Republic FC team store. The city kits behind us. These new kits are phenomenal. If you haven't picked one up, you need to right now. Republic FC hooked me up, so I'm basically an honorary member of the team. That's how I'm pushing it, although Josh has a little bit more skill than I do and maybe earned the jersey a little bit more than I did.
Well, I don't actually have one of those jerseys because I have a different one. So
That's true.
I have to steal one also, or have someone give it to me.
But you have uniqueness, right? Because you stand out from the crowd. You have to in order to get the bright colors, and that's different than anybody else. Is there a little envy behind not being able to wear these kind of kits, or do you get hooked up with some cool merch yourself?
I mean, I have some pretty sweet goalkeeper jerseys this year, so that's nice. The black one with the little pink stripes on the sleeve has gotten a lot of compliments.
Awesome.
But these are particularly cool jerseys, and I definitely will get one for myself one way or another.
Right on, Mel. I'm excited to speak with you specifically about this match coming up on Saturday, but you guys are coming off of a big match. Unfortunately, it resulted in a loss. You guys eliminated from U.S. Open Cup play by the San Jose Earthquakes, and third straight season matching up against MLS opponents in the Open Cup. It's starting to become an expectation from the fan base, from the organization, that you guys will make it that far. Last year it was the round of 16 elimination. This year just missing out on that, but still a phenomenal match. You guys went up early. It was back and forth, high scoring, and ultimately what I took away from watching it, Josh, was that once again this club has shown their ability to compete with MLS at the highest level, always competitive, always exciting. But I'm curious, your approach to that match, knowing, okay, we're playing in Avaya Stadium, gorgeous place, big stage, MLS opponents. Was there just a little more get up and excitement for that game?
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit more intensity, a little more focus there, but we try and treat every game the same. The most important game is the one you have, the next one, the one in front of you, and that doesn't matter if it's Open Cup versus an MLS team, doesn't matter if it's a preseason friendly or a regular league game. And so you want to approach every game the same way, have the same amount of focus, but just be ready, in the back of your mind, know, okay, we can't make mistakes here. We've got, they're a team that's one level above us, and there's a strong expectation that for them to do well, which actually gives us a little pressure relief in the sense of we can just relax a little, play our game. And I say relax, but you never actually are relaxed. Right. But it's definitely a slightly different mindset, even though you don't intend it to be that way.
Something specific to club soccer that you don't really get anywhere else in the world of sports is while you're in the midst of your regular USL season, you're playing these tournament matches, and then you add another extra layer to it right now with the Gold Cup happening, and some players at the MLS level are competing in the Gold Cup, the MLS regular season, and the US Open Cup. From your perspective, how do you approach these different matches, the goals set for specific ones? Do they all tie in together to one general goal, or do you have different approaches depending upon what stage of the season you're in?
I think that's a team by team and really a coach by coach thing. You certainly, for us, we approach every match the same with that mentality of we're going out, we're going to play our best, we're going to win this game. Yeah. There are other teams, sometimes you see an MLS team who strategically doesn't play certain players in anticipation of either an Open Cup game or if they have to travel off to the Gold Cup and play for their country and they don't want to get hurt. Mm-hmm. And so there's those other layers and other considerations. But for us, it's always, we're going all out, we're going to win the game, we're going to put the best players on the field for that game based on who's healthy, based on who's playing well, and based on our strategy going into that game.
Your most recent home game that I was at, I had the opportunity to kind of corner you after the match, and as we were both walking off the pitch, I was just asking you about the USL season and how it's gone as a whole. It got off to a bit of a rocky start, but form has turned around a lot recently, some good run of matches at home, and then the most recent win against the Western Conference leading New Mexico United, a big win, statement win, 3-0 over there. I'm curious your approach to that match, and how much did your recent success and the confidence from that play into that 3-0 result?
Yeah, so a lot of it was after we had a string of not so good results, we kind of went back to the drawing board a bit, did some introspection, looked at ourselves, how we were training, how we were approaching everything, and we had a tough week. We had, I believe, 10 days leading into that game without another game, and so we went back, we did a couple double days, we did some extra work, we focused on some of the things that were lacking, and we also changed the mentality slightly. If you looked at our previous games where we hadn't gotten good results, a lot of it was we played very well, but not for a full 90 minutes. We played 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes of a 90-minute game, and that's not enough. And so our recent results, we've really put in that extra work and left everything on the field to go a full 90 minutes playing well, playing how we know we can, and the results have shown. And so we got to continue that trend, build on it, keep working harder for the full 90, and then slowly get better at our little decision making during the game, at our tactical stuff, and at just the fine details now that we have that workload there, and we can't lose anything on the workload side.
Yeah, the Republic FC have a fantastic coaching staff, of course, head by Simon Elliott, and you mentioned the adjustments that you made. I assume a lot of them came from the top boss and that coaching staff making those adjustments and recognizing things, but one thing I've always noticed with the Republic, and especially with this club this year, is filled with a bunch of really good communicators. You have, of course, your team captain when you play, but you're communicating. Everybody really in that starting 11 has always seemed to be chirping and talking. How much adjustment was forced on by the team itself, specifically between the lines, and not so much on the coaching staff?
A lot of it. I mean, in a soccer game, you have 45 minutes where you're on the field, then you have a halftime, and then another 45 minutes. During that 45-minute, both of those 45-minute sections, the coaches can yell from the sideline, but it is very difficult to communicate information, especially large amounts of information from the sideline to the field.
Right.
And so that leaves it up to us players on the field to figure stuff out and communicate amongst ourselves, especially when things aren't going well, or when there's a little shift in the game. One thing in New Mexico that was fantastic was that at the end of the game, when they made a couple substitutions, put in a couple strong attacking players, and changed their formation slightly, we were able to pick that up both on the field and on the sideline with the coaching staff. And between the two groups of us communicating amongst ourselves and together, we were able to adjust and keep that game at, I believe it was 2-0 at the time, and then eventually 3-0.
A lot of goalkeeping. I mean, there's a lot of different elements that make you a successful goalkeeper, and Josh possesses most of those, including the loud projecting voice and that ability to communicate and to be that backline leader. How much of that communication, when you can't get it from your coaches and managers like you're mentioning, how much do you take that upon yourself to make sure people are in the right position, and how much do your teammates lean on you to get that direction and get that leadership when you're in the box?
A lot, especially in the back. It's something where, we're trying to facilitate the mentality of, if you recognize something, you got to say it, you got to communicate it. And for me, from my position, I can see everything in front of me. So theoretically, I should be the first one to see these changes, to see adjustments that we need to make, or potential issues that we're having. One thing that I've tried to focus on recently is our team getting stretched apart. What that means is separation between the back line and the midfield line, and preventing that from happening. So as soon as I see that, I yell it forward to center backs and also to our center midfielders if possible. Sometimes, though, it's a really loud environment, there's a lot of crowd noise, they can't quite hear, and so the next stoppage of play, I'm sure to run up and I'll communicate face-to-face with the center backs and just make sure that they know, and then they can communicate forward. And so it's kind of this phone call chain type of deal, even when we're in an environment where you can't hear super well and the communication is difficult in the moment.
Those specific adjustments that you just mentioned, though, is that one of the main reasons why you've seen a better run of play from your club, or are there other elements stacked upon that?
I think there's multiple things, and I think that definitely is a major factor, at least on the defensive side, of recognizing the issue and then communicating that our solution to the issue to everyone on the field. And so we're all together on the same page. It comes back to the idea that as long as everyone makes the same decision and is on the same page, we'll be better off than if we're making different decisions. Even if our decision is wrong, if we all make it together, we're better off than if we're making different decisions.
Like I mentioned, this Saturday is a Pride Night match back at Papa Murphy's Park. And Josh, you and a couple of your teammates are doing something really, really cool, playing for Pride. Can you explain a little bit about what that's about and who it's supporting and what the messages you're trying to send while tying that into the game of soccer that you play?
Yeah, so there are 3 of us on the team, myself, Sam Werner, Declan Keenan, all participating and playing for Pride this month of June. And what that means is that for our games this month and for our stats during those games, depending on how we do, we'll be donating money to support LGBTQ-friendly charities. In particular, it's Athlete Ally is the main charity that helps organize Playing for Pride, and they do a lot of work in kind of on the knowledge side and awareness for LGBTQ issues in sports. And then there's a couple people in the office who are helping to participate, kind of matching donations and also helping support the local LGBT community center here in Sacramento. And so I'm also I'm splitting my donations between the 2 organizations, one local and one more on the national sports-specific scale.
And I've had a conversation with Sam Werner before, and I know he's donating based off of the goals and assists that he scored, and he's racked up quite a tally because he's been all over the stat sheet over the recent weeks. But is it clean sheets and saves for you? What specifically is it for you?
Yeah, so for me, I'm doing for each game that we play in as a team, then for wins, shutouts, and saves.
Okay, awesome. So do you know what your tally is at yet at the moment, or are you waiting until the lump sum at the end?
I want to say it's around $65 right now, mid-60s.
That's pretty good.
But at the end, we'll see where it is and maybe round up a little bit.
Awesome. And
hopefully we get some good results, get those numbers way up.
Fantastic. Well, hoping for good results this Saturday, the Pride Night overall, a little extra element to play for, and that's not something that's new to this club. I mean, you've had all sorts of different games, nights, specifically sponsoring community events. You've had awesome moments that take place at Papa Murphy's Park over the years. I'm curious how that affects your approach to the match, and is there a little extra get up for you and your teammates knowing, hey, we're playing for a bit of a bigger cause tonight and we're expecting maybe a different community or different crowd at the park?
Yeah, I mean, leading into the game, there's always, that little bit extra where you're thinking, okay, yeah, I want to do well for these reasons, and a little bit extra push. But really, when it comes down to the game, your mind just does this, puts the blinders on and you focus on the ball and on the game and what's happening on the field. But throughout the month, yeah, you really do kind of see more off the field, the extra side of things. You think about the more external factors and how you can support the different groups that are giving you support.
Based off of our interview that we had during the winter time and the comments and praise that I've heard from talking to some of your teammates and other people associated with the club, the consistent praise that I hear and compliments that you get are just what's going on in between your head, how you're able to break down a game, how you're able to see things happen. And that's such an important element to being a goalkeeper. I was hoping to maybe get you to open up a little bit just about things that you think about. So if I was to ask you, it's a very broad question, but if I were to ask you something that most consistently goes through your head when you're between the sticks, when you're just on a daily life as a goalkeeper, what is in your head constantly? Yeah, so the constant question I'm asking myself in my head during a game, during a training, whenever I'm in front of the goal is, okay, what's the most dangerous thing in front of me right now? And that could be, is the guy on the ball, is he able to shoot? Is he able to cross? And then thinking about, okay, the player's off the ball. Who's the most dangerous? Where's the most dangerous space? And thinking, what if the whole time, especially in games where you're on, a full-size pitch, players are much more spread out, you always have that what if. If one of the center backs takes the ball and goes on a run up the right sideline, when they have the ball, I'm thinking, okay, what if they were to lose the ball right now? What's the most dangerous thing the other team could do? And that's why a lot of times
our center backs are very good, and so a lot of times they'll tuck in and cover on their own. But if they don't, I'm telling them to do that. I'm telling the 6 to drop back a little if there's an extra number forward from the other team.
Okay.
But it's always that what if question in the back of my head. What if and what's dangerous?
And you just described that over a 30, 45 second period, but these are split second decisions that you have to make, right? How much time do you give yourself to make them, and how much does it just become reflex more than cognitive decision making?
Yeah, so there really isn't much time to make them. The further away the ball is from goal, you do get a little bit more time, which is nice. But a lot of times in that defensive third, you don't have that luxury of extra time. And so it really is an instinct. It's something where if I'm facing the ball looking this way, I just do that, look very it's just a half second look over my right shoulder, and I should have an idea of, are there 2 guys over here behind me? Are there 3 guys over here behind me? Is there no one here? And based on that information, then I can move the center backs, the outside back inwards if there's no one there. I can move an extra person outwards if there's 2 people there. And just, it's all instinct at this point once you've done it 100, 1,000, 10,000 times. Against
San Jose, you made an incredible save by a former Republic FC and a friend of the club, Tommy Thompson, who's been doing fantastic up in San Jose with the Quakes. He had a rocket of a shot from outside the box and full extension save on your part, getting a hand on that ball. It ended up, someone captured it, a photo of it. It's a ridiculous photo. I hope you've seen it.
I haven't yet, but I hope.
You got to man or put it up on your wall or put it above a fireplace or something. It's that good of a photo, and I'm sure you can find it on the Republic's website or on one of their social media accounts. But I mean, when I see something like that from someone who enjoys watching goalkeepers but doesn't understand how to play, I think, okay, that's like peak. That's the best you can get, the best feeling you can have as a goalkeeper when you make a full extension save by something that was definitely going to go top corner or something like that. Is that accurate, or is there something for you that's like, when you do this specifically as a keeper, it's the best feeling, you can't get better than that?
No, you're right. It's those kind of miraculous saves, or the saves where you're not expected to make them. Goalkeeping is all about the probabilities, and there are those shots where it's a very high probability that the ball is going in. If you're able to just get a fingertip, flick it off the post, really preventing, as a goalkeeper, our job is all about preventing the other team from the satisfaction of scoring.
Yeah.
And so if you could take that away from the other team's forward, that's a really good feeling, even though it's not the nicest thing, but it's really what we strive for. We're trying to keep the ball out of the back of the net, and it's always fantastic feeling when you just deny something that clearly should have been a goal.
I'm always curious by a term in soccer, the next 5 minutes term. And what I mean by that, and this is something that I learned just watching and covering soccer in college, and I'd be interested to get your just conversation on it and your thoughts on it, is you talked about the satisfaction of an opponent scoring, or even the satisfaction of yourself scoring, and how that can either result in another immediate opportunity for the goal scorer, or maybe the team that scored lays off the gas a little bit because they're still celebrating, relaxed now that they have a goal advantage, something like that. And over those next 5 minutes, it's almost the most susceptible time to give up another goal. Is that accurate? And what is it about that next 5 minutes that's so important communication-wise?
So that is very accurate. I mean, you look at games at all levels, the 5 minutes right after a goal, and sometimes even the 5 minutes right after the situation we were just talking about, where there should have been a goal, but there wasn't. That's also a very dangerous time period. And I think it boils down to a couple different things. One is that the team that just scored may be making changes. If they go up, 1-0 or 2, if they go up by 1 goal or 2 goals, they may adjust slightly depending on the time in the game to become more defensive and sit in a little more, and that opens up space for the other team. Alternatively, the other team, especially late in the game, if they need to now go score, maybe they were, accepting of a tied result, but now they're losing, they might make adjustments to their lineup or their formation. And it's really a game of chess a little bit in those 5 minutes of, okay, which moves am I going to make based on whether we were just scored on or we just scored, and what moves is the other team going to make in response to those. And so there's a lot more uncertainty in those 5 minutes, and that uncertainty leads to more goals when not handled properly and not, when the players on the field don't recognize it and then communicate the solutions.
Josh, I'm fascinated by penalty kicks. And I know a lot of people, whether you're a fan or a goalkeeper or even a striker, a lot of people don't like penalty kicks because how it slows down, can stop the game, can affect the game. I understand in club matches where you go 90 minutes plus 30 minutes of extra time, and then PKs have to be the decider when it's a very even match, and how that can be frustrating for the team that doesn't come out on top. But penalty kicks, you associate a distinct advantage for the kicker and not for the goalkeeper. But you've made a knack over the past couple of seasons of being able to make saves, and it always appears like you rise to those occasions in those penalty kick situations. Before we dive into like the X's and O's and the specifics of an approach to a penalty kick, I just want to ask you, is that a challenge that you look forward to when there's a penalty kick opportunity to make that save when nobody expects it, like you said?
So I never look forward to a penalty kick, but if one happens to be called, if the referee makes that decision, then it's something where in the moment I know that if I do my job right and I push well and it's not a perfect shot, then I can make that save, and I know that can be a huge swing of momentum in the game and a positive swing for us if I can make that save. And so in that sense, I'm always trying to do everything in my power to make that save and keep the team in the game.
So hypothetically, if I was trying to become a professional goalkeeper, what would you immediately tell me, and what kind of things would you tell me to approach that situation, where to put yourself on the right? Is it really a guessing game as much as it appears to be, or are there certain really distinct things that you look out for?
There's always certain things that you're looking for in the moment. A lot of it is actually off the field, though. It's doing your homework, looking at the other team, their attacking players, their history of penalty kicks, and having a good idea going into the game of, okay, if they do get a penalty, who's going to be the one taking it? What are their tendencies? And once you know that, it gives you a little bit of extra confidence, and then it's just trying to pick up real subtle cues in the moment based on how they put the ball down, where they're looking, how their approach to the ball is, the angle, and then are they running fast at it? Are they stutter stepping? There's all these things that go into it, but it really is almost an instinctual decision at the end of the day.
What would be the biggest piece of advice you would give to someone like myself who's not been consistently in a penalty kick situation when you're in between those sticks? What would you tell them to do? My biggest piece of advice, especially for situations where you don't necessarily have a lot of footage on the guy taking the PK in the past, is be confident in your decision. So if you in that split second decide, okay, I'm going to my right, I'm going to dive to my right, don't second guess that decision. Push 100% to your right. Don't push 80%, think, oh, maybe he'll go middle. Nope. Push 100% to that side, because it gives you the best odds of, at that point, even if it's a pure 50-50 split, then you want to do as much as you can to get 100% of that 50%, if that makes sense to you. And if you second guess yourself at all, you're just cutting down your percentages. So confidence is extremely important, then, right? Well, that's good, because I might be too overconfident in saying this, but I had an idea approaching this interview today with Josh. Here's where the overconfidence really comes in. He makes it sound so easy. It's something that I want to try. So I brought a little glove with me here. I'm just going to be lightly tossing the gauntlet to you, Josh. In a coming week at Papa Murphy's Park, you versus me in some kind of goalkeeper challenge. I'd like the opportunity to see if I can even come close to your level, but I'm going for best in you. I'm going to try and beat you in a PK shootout situation. Maybe some of your teammates are taking the shots. I don't know how it's going to be, but I think I could be on even par with you, if not save a little bit more if you're up for the challenge.
All right.
I got to earn the right to wear this jersey or something. I mean, I got to do something here.
True. So, I will see you on the field then.
Awesome, man. I look forward to it. Sacramento, that is your goalkeeper, Josh Cohen. Phenomenal guy. Great follow on Twitter as well. Easy guy to root for, and you can hear just based off of our conversations. This is the second conversation that I've had with him, and every time I learn so much. I'm looking forward to taking him on, actually on the pitch specifically. Hopefully I don't get embarrassed too bad, but it's something that will be coming to KHDK.com very, very soon. Josh, again, thank you so much, man, for taking the time. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.